Right.
Oh.
Hold on.
Should we just pick up?
I love it. Wait, so just, we should introduce ourselves probably.
Yeah, who are you?
My name is Scott.
I'm Melati.
We are the important half of Seris.
Half of Seris.
Seris is a band. They make music. We make music. I play the guitar. Melati does some singing.
Love it.
And yeah, that's who we are. So there you go. Right.
And we might be a couple drinks in at this point. Just throwing that out there. So we'll see what happens.
As a warning.
Right. Right.
So, how did you guys all meet?
It's a funny question.
How did Seris become Seris?
Right. That's a different question, actually, in a way. Because it just kind of depends on where you want to start. I would say Seris started 2009. I was in a band called Souchant, and Rob, our drummer, was in a band called Downtide. We played a couple shows together. We both really respected each other musically. And both our bands kind of broke up at the same time. And we just got in touch with each other and talked about starting a project together. I had known Melati from before that. She had come to a Souchant show, and that's where we had met. And then Rob knew Cody, our bass player from school.
And meanwhile, Cody was in a band called Converse of the Crow, and I was in a band called Shout the Word. So there were four not opposing, but just different bands coming together to form a little local version of a supergroup, I guess. And that's where we came from.
That's where Seris came from. Right.
Okay, so then where did the name Seris come from?
That's a point of contention, I guess you could say, in the band.
Yeah.
We all got really, really drunk one night, and the next morning we had written down on this piece of paper Seris, like we'd been brainstorming all these names, potential band names on a piece of paper.
There was a Ouija board involved at some point.
There was a Ouija board, but I don't remember if Seris was played. None of us remember is the thing. None of us remember coming up with the word Seris, only that it was scrawled the biggest and the darkest.
With like blood. It was like blood.
There was some blood in it. Right. It was as if somebody had been possessed over the night and had written the word Seris. So we were like, fuck, that's gotta be the name.
So what has led you to play the style of music that you do?
Right.
Why not pop?
Well, as big a fan of Justin Timberlake as I am, I couldn't convince the other guys in the band to go that route, and I can't dance. So we had to do something else. No, I think for me, metal and progressive metal is probably, of all the genres of music, it is the most experimental. I feel like as a musician, it affords you by far the most freedom to break the rules, to try new things, to do things that have not been done before. And as a musician, to me, that's the most interesting thing about music. Like some musicians are really in love with stuff like pop that's kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Some musicians are still really interested in creating beats and doing things like that are just plays on what's been done before and all in the same time signature. That's just not me. I'm more experimental. I want to try a lot of new things, and Seris is really focused on giving us the freedom to do that.
I think we all agreed that kind of the status quo, normal type of rock had been done to death, and we weren't hearing a lot of stuff on the radio that we really wanted to hear, I guess, and just feel inspired by. Like a lot of it nothing was, horrific. It was just not really making us feel like, oh my gosh, that's why we're musicians. Oh my gosh, that is exactly what's going to inspire us. And we wanted to write music that would be the type of music we were looking to hear, which was strangely absent, specifically from like typical radio, typical airplay. Because it's very progressive. What we were wanting to hear is just not your typical 4/4 progression. And so we decided to try and write the kind of music that would inspire people like us, which admittedly is kind of geeky, but we were okay with that. So
That's true.
yeah.
So in, walking this line of being an inspiration to yourselves and to other musicians, but also reaching a wider audience, what band or bands would you really like to go on tour with? Like, what's your ultimate tour?
Ultimate tour.
Oh!
Yes. Seris headlining with...
Tour would be Seris. And nobody else. No, just kidding. We're not that cocky.
No, not at all. We actually have a ton of bands that we look up to.
Yeah, that's why it would just be
it's
hard
hard
to pick
because,
a few.
just like, can we make it like a 6-band headlining tour?
You could make it a festival. I think it kind of needs to be...
What would a festival that we want to be in? That would be great.
I mean, I can say for myself, I'd love to...
Feseristival.
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 That's happening next year, 2014.
Oh, man.
I mean, obviously, Tool. Tool would be great. For me and Cody, I know Meshuggah would be huge.
Yeah. For me, Periphery, Tesseract, The Ocean, all of these very progressive bands, a lot of them are coming out of Europe, admittedly. There's a lot of people that don't know what the word gent means at this point. They don't know what the
what does that mean?
It's a heavier form of progressive rock or metal where typically 7 or 8 string guitars are involved, and the name came from the sound that the guitar actually makes, like the gent sound.
It's an onomatopoeia, essentially.
I love that it's taking on its own form of music at this point, but admittedly there's a significant absence of female-fronted gent bands, which is why Seris is actually not only taking our direction of music, which is like the progressive math metal aspect, and we're going heavier at this point with the gent aspect, and like Scott has recently purchased an 8-string, and so that's our new direction.
Next album, also coming in 2014, should be a little bit heavier.
So you mentioned Justin Timberlake a little while ago. What is the most embarrassing band or artist you listen to?
It's hard to say for me. I don't listen to the radio very often. Even when I do in Denver, I listen to the comedy radio station more than anything else.
Yeah, me too.
But I would say if I can change it a little bit, just say what's the most embarrassing CD or album I've ever purchased. But certainly there's a Kelly Clarkson album in there somewhere.
Oh, God. That's horrific.
I may or may not have every Alanis Morissette album ever recorded.
We need to break up. As a band.
Right. I can't even think of anything else that's truly embarrassing. I bought a Pink album once, and I got rid of it because I didn't like it.
Oh. Who are you?
Not to say that I don't like Pink. I mean, she's great. She's hot. She has like pink hair. So.
Okay, yeah. Can't speak for Cody or Rob. I'm sure they have some bad things.
Secret Britney Spears.
I mean, and for me, it's just like there's a part of me that really likes some hip hop, not rap, but hip hop, and like pop, hip hop even, like Timbaland. I like Timbaland as a producer. He is amazing.
He's
and
producing our next album, 2014.
I do have a Maroon 5 song on my Spotify playlist.
I love Maroon 5.
That guy can sing. That's amazing. And I do, I mean, as much as I kind of want to not like him, Justin Timberlake's got some pretty catchy tunes. I hate to say it, but it's true. And like, add to that the fact that he's like actually a good actor, and you're like,
it's true.
Damn it.
It's true.
I really wanted to not like this guy, but not an option.
Yeah.
So you guys have been on tour. You did a Southwest tour in last year?
2011.
2011. And you're getting ready to go on tour again.
Yep.
What are some of your unwritten tour rules?
Unwritten tour rules. I would say always, you cannot go on tour. Cannot go on tour unless your bass player's mom has baked cookies.
Vegan cookies.
Some vegan.
Specifically because there's some people in the band that can't eat dairy.
Seriously, I would honestly say that was probably my favorite thing about going on tour.
Yeah.
We had so many cookies.
Scheduling at least a half hour per 4 to 5 hours driving to just allow time to go do stuff alone. Like walk through the field and, go to a public restroom and use a bathroom by yourself. Like anything that just allows you to not...
Find a glory hole.
We were honest... Yeah. Glory holes, sure.
Exactly.
We were
just not the same one. Make sure the band was cool.
The four of us were honestly within the same 20-foot space for like 8 days in a row.
That's true.
We slept near each other. We were on stage together. We were in a car together. We never left each other's sides. And it wasn't like horrific, but it was just like, oh my gosh, I feel like joined at the hip with these people.
Which is kind of cool. There's something cool about that.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I would add, and this is for Rob more than anyone, is just to remember where you park. Particularly in LA.
Oh.
Speaking of Rob,
yeah.
Who's the craziest band member of Seris?
No, it's not fair.
You're leading us with that
I
question.
know.
Speaking of Rob.
The
craziest member of the band.
Well, define crazy. Like it's really hard to.
Unpredictable. Or living on another planet, insane.
It's hard to say. I mean, craziest member of the band. I think we all understand each other pretty well. I know that I would say.
I am the female of the band, so sometimes it gets harder to interpret emotions for the guys. They're all kind of my brothers at this point, and so they're very good about not trying to upset me in the long run, but they all know that sometimes it takes a certain amount of hard-headedness to get things done.
Something that I noticed, Melati, and watching you guys on stage, I was impressed with you are the female front of a male band in a pretty generally male genre with a lot of male fans. How is that? How was your experience being the female in a very male world?
It's honestly not too foreign to me. A lot of what I've chosen in my past has been very male-dominated activities. I, was a martial arts instructor. My favorite sports are mixed martial arts, like grappling and sparring, snowboarding. I ride a motorcycle. And other things I'm forgetting. I just, it's all been very male-dominated in what I'm really interested in. So I wasn't that surprised.
And Scott, how is it, did you see yourself as being in a band with a female lead? How is it for you, have you worked with women before in a band? Did you...
No, I would say, honestly, when Seris was getting formed, we had a male vocalist at the very onset, who just didn't work out, unfortunately. But I knew Melati before, and I was the advocate in the band that was saying that we should have her as a singer. I knew that she was an incredible singer from Choke the Word. I had met her largely because I had read some of her writing, which was incredible. So yeah, absolutely. I knew that was what I wanted, and it really honestly didn't take very much convincing of the other guys either. We just wanted somebody who was a badass. We wanted somebody who was really talented. And Melati came in and didn't audition, was a badass and was really talented. So we needed a decision to make.
Zombie apocalypse. How is Seris prepared? Let's get to what's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say we're ultra prepared. We've practiced.
I know how to use like 17 different types of weapons.
Right, that's true. She's the badass.
Most of them are blunt, and
right, we're all pretty
depends
fast.
on if we're fighting like Shaun of the Dead zombies or 28 Days Later zombies. Like how fast can they run? That's a very big question, but assuming that it's somewhere between there, like we've got plenty of old records, like vinyls to throw at their skulls, and so that's cool.
And I can see just picking up a guitar by the neck, and swinging the body around. You could take somebody's head off.
I like that.
A zombie says.
We also have water filter and lots of duct tape. So
right, we have some survival stuff. You actually did buy survival stuff.
Just
like rope?
A few, yeah.
Who owns rope anymore?
We have rope.
Burn stuff, like
what
fires.
The fuck do you need some
You really did? You have like a flint rock and stuff?
Yeah, I've got flint rock.
Seriously, I think we'd actually
be
all right.
okay.
As long as we had her and all her stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so zombies are good. How about 4-year-olds? What if... How many really angry 4-year-olds would it take to take you down?
That's a tough question to answer. I would say possibly just one, because I would have a moral dilemma.
No, I wouldn't.
Because they would be unarmed.
I would elbow the shit out of that little 4-year-old. If he came up to me and was just like, I want to take you down, I'd be like, perception is a bitch. So I would say, I would easily say like 78. And if they're charging at the same time, if it's one at a time, like in ninja movies, it's going to be more. Because, I mean, like if they're just coming up, you can just...
Yeah, assume you're at the end of the hallway, and so it creates a funnel where only a certain number of them can come at you at a time.
You could like barricade off, because they're not very tall. So you could like make sure that you have like chairs blocking.
I think the question is more like if you're in the Colosseum, like in ancient Rome, and they just open the gates and you're in the center, and just swarms of 4-year-olds are coming at you. Swarms. How many would have to be in that swarm to win that battle?
It's so adorable.
Yeah.
And they're so angry.
If they were out for blood,
but
if it was like my life
they have
or
no
theirs,
weapons?
I would take down a hell of a lot of 4-year-olds.
Yeah, I know.
I can tell you that right now.
I'm thinking, I'll stick with my original answer of 78. Maybe even like...
I think it'd be hundreds. I think I could take a lot of 4-year-olds.
And if it was the 4 of us, if it was all of Seris...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking like 385.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could dominate.
The world's population of 4-year-olds. Good question, by the way.
Yeah.
So, aside from music, what sorts of things do you guys geek out on?
We're pretty big geeks.
Yeah, kind of. Admittedly.
Yeah, video games.
Huge on video games.
For sure.
Most of us, but especially Scott and I. I'm like a big Xbox person. I have my Xbox right over there. There's a pile of games right over there. Oh my gosh, like Dragon Age and Fable and Fable 2 and Fable 3 and
beyond that, I would say
Assassin's Creed and shit, fucking Mass Effect. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna geek out a little bit.
I would say for me, superhero movies are definitely another one too. I don't actually read comic books.
Oh, I do. I read graphic novels like crazy.
Such a dork.
Dude, the Sandman series, Watchmen, hello.
That was a comic book? Just kidding. So I'm super stoked for the new Superman movie that's coming out, for example. There's a new Wolverine movie coming out. Stoked for. They really can't go wrong. Put a superhero in a movie, I will probably watch it.
And it's not really a geeky thing, but I'm a huge yogi, as a lot of people know, that are friends with me on Facebook at least, because I always have my profile pictures be me in a new yoga pose. And so I teach yoga, and I do yoga almost every day, or take a class at least every day. And so that's another thing I geek out on that may qualify as geekiness. What else?
I'm writing a fantasy novel.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I should say that.
Yeah.
That's pretty geeky. I'm such a geek.
How do you guys develop your music? What's the composition and writing process?
Right. Usually it starts with me. Usually I pop in a Kelly Clarkson album when I get some inspiration going. No, it starts all different ways. A lot of times it does start with me. I just play around, at home and come up with ideas to bring to the guys, and there's generally 80% that they don't really like, and then the 20% that they do, and that's the ones that we run forward with. Some of our songs have started with rhythms that Rob wrote on the kit. Some of our songs have started with cool bass patterns that Cody came up with. So it really depends. Typically we work best in twos. So most of the time it's been Rob and myself writing most of the music, and then kind of showing it to Cody and he writes his parts, or myself and Cody working on a song and then bringing it to Rob to work on. It's a little bit harder. The more cooks you get in the kitchen, the harder it is for us, at least, put it together. I would say, having been in other bands, like I sing for another band in Denver now, and I know that you have as well, Melati. I can speak to the differences in writing styles for different bands. The thing that's interesting about Seris that makes us unique is we're very cerebral. We don't just jam out parts like a lot of bands would. We don't just play something and then say what feels right to come next. We've tried that approach sometimes, but in general we don't. In general, every riff is written out. Most of the riffs have a specific idea of what we're trying to accomplish with it. Some of our riffs are codes. There might be Morse code or different kinds of codes to spell things out. We might spell the title of the song. Different things like that, where it means something. It makes sense in some way. It's not just, we weren't just like, hey, this sounds cool, let's do this. It's more cerebral than that. We're not a jam band in any way. It's not feel-based, it's thought-based.
So, the guys really focus on trying to make the headiness of the music accessible, and that they'll take that concept that is very cerebral and then be like, well, how could we make it so that it actually sounds amazing at the same time? Just like something that I would actually be like, oh, that's great. And then you figure out how it came to be, and you're like, wow, that makes it even cooler. So then they do their part. They finish their composition of the song, or at least 90%, and then they give it to me, and then I'll come up with usually a melodic pattern, and what I mean by that is a melody, but at the same time, because our music is so rhythmically driven, I write rhythmically to it. So before I even put lyrics down, I count out how many syllables I want for each line, every single line, what emphasis on what part of each line, and then I'll very painstakingly choose words to fit that mold.
All right, so real fast, top 5 albums all time.
For me, top 5 might get tough, but I would say Lateralis by Tool, Catch 33 by Meshuggah, Mer de Gnome by A Perfect Circle.
So good.
I'd probably throw out Make Yourself by Incubus, and then Die Lausum Comatorium by Mars Volta. And it might not be in that order, but that'd be definitely high up on my list.
He just made it impossible for me to follow up. I'm going to go with, again, in no particular order, the double album, The Fragile by Nine Inch Nails. The double album by Tori Amos, To Venus and Back. Tool's Anima. where it gets
It's
tough.
technically 5.
Technically 5. Those are like the 3 that really influenced me as a youngster, like in high school. And so I have to just really adhere to that because they created what became Melati as a singer, a vocalist, and a lyricist. And so, yeah, maybe I'll stop there for now. And again, I know that Rob and Cody, who aren't here, will have other things. That, you know, Rob would absolutely say, probably like Mudvayne.
Mudvayne,
Soundgarden,
LD50, actually,
maybe.
you're right.
Yeah.
LD50, but Mudvayne would certainly be
Cody
up there.
would throw in maybe
Some death metal stuff nobody's heard
Decapitated.
of.
Whitechapel, maybe. Like,
Right.
yeah. So it's definitely, we're all from different ideologies of music, and it's not that there was any one that was better than the other. It's just what influences personally as people, and then it came forward to make the 4 individuals that created Seris. So, yeah. No.
That's all the questions.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Anything else? Can I can have wine now?
Yeah.
I can have wine?
You can have wine.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to all of you guys watching too.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks
Thank
to
you for
Groovy
watching.
for putting this up.
Yeah.
It's awesome.